Welcome to episode 2 of the Adam and Rob podcast. Today's recording date is March 19th, 2024. And on this day in history, 1918, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson signed the Standard Time Act, which established a daylight savings time in the United States. This legislation also gave the federal government oversight of the country's time zones. And Rob, welcome to springtime.
Well, thank you.
I thought that information would be pertinent since this is now the first official episode in springtime, and we just moved the clocks ahead, so everybody's kind of getting their bearings back again.
Yes. No, yes, we're getting our bearings for sure.
Yes. The sun is brighter, a little bit longer, and just so you know, we are still following laws that were enacted 108 years ago, or 106 years ago, that no longer apply to today.
That is correct.
That's okay.
All right. And should have never been done then either.
Just wanted to make sure we were setting our bases.
What's that old saying that only a fool would cut two ends off of the bottom of the blanket and sew it on the top and think they had a longer blanket?
Wait, that's all my blankets. That's
I don't know.
No, all right. Well, hey, so last week's episode we talked about the market being like a crazy ex-girlfriend. Rob, yeah. Do you want to instruct everyone what today's episode is about?
Well, today we're going to talk about swing loans. So today's topic is swinging.
There we go. So,
but hold on. Not the way you want it to be thought of. We're talking about doing a swing loan or a bridge loan so that you can buy your next house before you sell your current home.
That's right. So take your pineapple and flip it upside down and get ready for today's episode when we discuss swinging or swing loans.
Yes. I'm going to struggle to keep you at PG-13, aren't I?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, this is our second episode, and if we don't get the parental advisory label on this one, then I think we've missed out.
Well, when I upload them into YouTube, it asks me, are these child friendly? And I automatically say no.
No.
Although they should be.
What fun would that be? I mean, let's face it, one of the most popular realtors right now on TikTok is going through a house dropping F-bombs every 6 seconds. So you know what? When I guess real estate has jumped the shark of being family friendly.
Well, in all honesty, a year or a year and a half ago, I would have probably been that realtor going through the house dropping the F-bombs. So that just shows that I've progressed or changed a lot over the last year.
And we're all happy for your growth.
Because if they find any old footage of us, I'm sure there's probably a few of those words in there.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, I mean, we're all excited and very proud of your growth. Meanwhile, everyone's still stuck with me in the gutter. So I plan on keeping them with me for as long as possible.
All right.
All right. So,
okay.
All right. So today we're talking about swing loans. And the reason being is, this is a conversation I just had with folks this morning that are getting ready to start the process of selling their current home, buying the next one. And there's lots of reasons for having to do so, whether you need to upsize, whether you're looking to downsize, whether this is your last move or your second to last move, or the house just isn't fitting your needs anymore. The market being what it's been for now, going on year number 4, if you're in the process of buying a home and entering the real estate market, you can't do this half pregnant. You've got to be willing to jump in with this in both feet. Yeah, that's right. We started talking about this is going to be an episode about swinging, and now we're going to make sure everyone's pregnant, fully pregnant, and ready to roll. What I mean by you've got to be ready to get all the way pregnant is you can't dip a toe in and hope that you're going to get a house. You've got to be serious. You've got to be willing to get in and get beat up a little bit and be fully involved. as I mixed metaphors at least 3 or 4 times here, and now you're going, I'm not sure what the hell we're talking about.
Well, at this point, there's a lot of illegitimate houses out there. I think is where you were going with this. Maybe there could be um, a dating app involved. I'm not really sure exactly where you were going, but I think I know where you were going with this. I think you were trying to tell them. I don't even know what you're trying to tell them, Adam.
You're, the over the clothes stuff right now in this market doesn't count. You've got to be ready to be all in if you're going to be getting a house.
Next thing you know, you're going to be using bases metaphor, and we're going to be in a baseball game. I'm not really sure. Um, would you allow me to assist on this
Sure,
to maybe help?
absolutely.
Okay.
It's all yours.
So, because the market right now is more of a full contact sport, shut your mouth, Adam, it requires you to make more of a commitment to get the win than what you may have had to have done in the past or the last time you might have sold and bought a home. Right now, you got to kind of flip the order if you're in the position to do it. Does that help?
Yes.
I know I said position to do it, so I knew. I knew. Listen, I fully walked right into it, but that was where the word. Yeah, it's okay.
You put it on a tee, you made sure everybody was safe, and you're like, you know what? Swing away. That's it. So,
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, what we're trying to tell you is that the market has not slowed down in any way. And a lot of folks are going, hey, with homes lasting a minute, 2 or 3 days at best, so if a home's in decent shape and it's priced right, it's lasting 3 or 4 days tops in the market that we're in, which means if you are looking to sell a home and purchase the next one, you've got to be in as competitive a position as you possibly can, which is where our topic today really revolves around, and that is a swing or a bridge loan, which we've used an awful lot. So, Rob, having
and it's only taken us 7 minutes and 30 seconds to get here.
Which feels fast for us. This still feels like we should still be out in left field on a completely side tangent for a good 5 more minutes. But the fact we're getting there in 7.5 minutes feels pretty quick for us. Yes.
Yeah, that is true, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. Yeah. So today it's for those who have done this in the past, it's doing things out of order is really what it comes down to. So in the past, you would list your house on the market, you would get it under contract. We would then write an offer on the house you want to buy because they were sitting on the market for weeks and or months. You would be able to put a contingency of settlement into your contract and a seller would accept it because, again, their house has been on the market for months and they're just excited to finally get an offer and get this thing to the finish line. But now, because they're moving so quickly in order to be competitive, you're putting it back, you're doing it backwards. So now after we look at a house and we get a value for your home, then the second conversation is with a lender to ultimately determine, do you qualify for a swing loan? And if you do, then we get you out there and you start looking and you buy the house you want to buy first, get it under contract, and then we put your house on the market.
And there's a couple big benefits to this. Obviously, the first one is if you're having to sell a home and then buy the next one. So you're going, hey, I'm not a first time home buyer. I'm a second, third, fourth, fifth home buyer. You're competing with other first time home buyers and you're competing with other folks that don't have that contingency of a home to sell. So the upside to using a swing loan and a bridge loan is it now makes you just as competitive and without that contingency that you had going into this. So there's no baggage you're bringing to a contract, which makes you just a stronger buyer. And in a time where we're still seeing a ton of cash offers and heavy-handed offers, benefiting the seller, the last thing you want is something that makes you an uncompetitive buyer, and that's where the swing loan
Yep.
really kicks in. Rob, what's some of the other benefits to using a swing or bridge loan?
Well, some of the other benefits are setting the pace. So if you put your house on the market first, and as we told you, properties are going under contract in 2 to 3 days in some cases, you could find yourself very quickly scrambling to try to find something that you like. And because of that, you're not necessarily maybe buying the house you would want to buy. You're just you're feeling pressure. So this allows you to set the pace a little bit differently. I did a search today in Dallastown school districts, and the only criteria I put on it was over $250,000 and detached, and I got 16 options, which is not a lot of inventory.
Mm-mm.
Um, so being able to set that pace, being able to buy as something excites you and you can jump on it, that's really what doing the swing loan is going to allow you to do. Is just have a little more just moment to catch your breath.
Right.
Yep.
And the conversation I had with clients this morning that are getting ready to start this process today is one of the biggest drawbacks they had when they bought their current home was they had actually asked for 3 extra days post closing to move their stuff out.
Hmm.
And so they're like, look, we got to organize help, we got to get family, and now they're older and not able to lift and not able to do all the things they did 20 years ago when they bought the house. So now they're looking at trying to coordinate a moving company when it's time. So the other benefit to using a swing loan to buy the first house first and then sell the current house is it also gives you the ability to close on the new home first, move everything out at your pace out of your
Hmm.
current home, getting it in, and then be able to have your current home that you're going to be putting on the market to sell or already under contract cleaned out and just be able to do what Rob said earlier, which is you're buying and selling on your pace, not what the market says you have to do it in.
Yeah. The only little caveat that I would end is you do have a timeline
Yes.
in all of this. You if you take too long to do this, now you're making the payment on the new house and you're making the payments on the bridge loan. So as long as you're comfortable with that, so there is a little bit of a timeline to it, but it is way more relaxed. And like you said, you can get an extra week or 2 weeks to transition from the one house to the other versus having to have everything sit on the back of a moving truck. And I'm sure most people in this current market have seen their houses go up in a crazy amount of equity in the last 3 years. I mean, the increase in value is the most that I think we've ever seen in a 3 year period of time.
Oh,
So,
without a doubt. So let's get into some, and obviously we're not lenders, but we do these with our clients all the time. So we've
mhm.
gotten pretty familiar. So, Rob, if you would, can you break down some of the meat and potatoes of what a bridge loan is and what it looks like and some of those guidelines and tips and tricks folks should be aware of?
Yeah, so basically with the bridge loan, what you're doing is you're tapping into the equity that you currently have in your home. Most lenders, again, this is not going to be solid across the board, but most are going to let you tap about 80% of the equity that you have in the house. They don't want to max you out to the whole thing because the market is fluid, it's constantly changing. So they don't want to put you in a position, if it can be avoided, where you've pulled too much equity out and now you can't sell the home and you're bringing money. So normally they're going to cap you out at about 80% of the value, and with that, that gives you the ability to get out there and start looking for that next house, because it's going to give you some of the down payment money and closing cost money that you're going to need to get the keys to the new home.
Right. So, and that's really the piece of it. And for lack, it's called a couple things: a swing loan, a bridge loan. The most common way to look at this is it's a home equity line of credit.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
really what you're doing. You're getting a home equity line of credit at the finish line because you no longer need or want that house. So you're
Hmm.
leveraging the equity that you have in it, not to do home improvement projects, but you're doing the ultimate home improvement project, and that is you're getting a new house.
Right.
So being able to use up to 80% of that home's equity to take care of your down payment, your closing costs, other fees, and other costs involved with buying that new home. So, what are some of the disadvantages or some of the beware things that folks should know about with swing and bridge loans?
Yeah, I mean, the beware stuff I would say is like we just talked about is make sure that you're not tapping too much equity. Make sure you're very comfortable with the number that you're pulling in equity if you're pulling it first and then selling second. Listen, banks don't loan money just because they're nice guys and they want to help you out in a time of need. They're going to make some money off of this. There's fees involved, but I would say that most people might find that the benefits far outweigh the costs if you don't have to have all your stuff on a moving truck, if you're not feeling pressured into finding that next house tomorrow because you sold yours today and you don't want to be homeless, and getting that extra week or 2 weeks to transition from the old house to the new house. There's a value to that. You know what I mean? There's a value of how much money would you be willing to spend to have the luxury of being able to do that. So for the most part, there are cautions of things to be aware of, but overall, I don't really think there's a negative to it. Are there things with it you find acceptable? And each person's going to have to determine that for themselves.
Right. And it really is probably one of the most common questions we get asked as far
Hmm.
as, hey, I've got a house. Now it's time to move. And how do I sell this house, buy the next one? There's so many moving pieces to this. I don't even know where to start. And with the swing loan, the bridge loan, it really does provide really a huge sense of convenience.
Oh yeah,
That you're not
yeah.
going, hey, first I've got to get the house ready to sell. Now I've got to get it on the market. Now it's on the market. Now I've got to take time out and let people come through it, let showings go down, negotiate the contract. Now, once I get that done, now I'm
Hmm.
moving on to the next house and going through and you have so many dominoes that need to fall in this right order when they need to fall. And if something goes sideways through there, it can completely decimate both homes. Where with the swing loan, you're taking one bite of the apple at a time. And like you said, Rob, sort of doing things out of order, but in essence, a new order.
Right. I mean, when you're writing that offer like a buyer who has 20% down and can cover all closing costs. Depending how much equity, if you're downsizing, you may have all the cash. So now you're writing an offer. So again, things to be aware of and things to be cautious of is you need to make sure you have some protections in place where if you're pulling that as a swing loan from the equity of your current home, you need to make sure those ducks are all lined up because you don't want to write a cash offer, then your home equity doesn't go through. Now you have a buyer who's expecting you to purchase their home, and all of a sudden you don't have the cash to do it anymore. So you need to make sure you have an experienced agent and an experienced lending officer who knows how to get these things done in the order in which they do them. There are other things that Adam and I do in the process to line this up for you. So when that first domino falls, the other 5 or 6 right behind it fall into place. We'd be happy to sit down with you guys one on one and explain to you exactly how that process looks like. But right now, just trying to give you a quick overview of options that are available to you out there in this crazy market.
Yeah, and Rob, you hit the nail on the head. This is a program that not every lender offers. And
Correct.
it's also one of those reasons, it's one of those products that when we recommend working with a local lender, this is one of the dozens of reasons
Mm-hmm.
why we always recommend a local lender as opposed to a national internet lender because of the products that they have available to you to help you out in your own specific
Yep.
need. And this is indeed a very specific need that's needed a lot right now.
Yep. Yep. And if you don't have that timeline laid out, and this is where experience on the real estate side comes into play, having that experienced agent who has done this, if that timeline is not laid out right, if that valuation of the property is not done correctly, it could cost you thousands of dollars more because the longer your house sits on the market, as Adam said earlier, if it's not priced right, it's going to sit. And every month that goes by that you're now making a payment on your new mortgage and you're making a payment on the bridge loan, that's more money coming out of your pocket. So knowing how to package this together the right way is extremely important, and having a professional real estate agent who knows how to work with a loan officer to get it done will make this thing go so smooth that when it's all finished, you'll be so impressed with
Yeah.
how easy it actually was to do, because it can feel a little overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, we always say, real estate is definitely a relationship business.
Hmm.
We all have relationships within, this crazy industry. But the relationships that we have, that we rely on, that we depend on, they're because they're with the folks that we know when push comes to shove, they get things done right, and
Hmm.
provide as less stressful an experience for our clients than someone brand new out of the box that is just kind of hoping and wishing their way through this.
Hmm.
So yeah, using the partners that we recommend in these situations really is paramount because of their level of expertise and their experience in getting these things done. Rob, something I did want to talk about is, when it comes to condition of the original home, the home that they need to sell, what are some of the things that are most important in those situations to get the home sold quickly? Because a lot of times when we're doing these, you are actually taking over and many times getting us closed on the same day or darn near the same day as we're closing on the first home, on the new home, with lining things up. So explain a little bit
Well,
about that.
Well, I don't want to give the full recipe of the secret sauce. Not that other agents can't do what we do, but I'm also not running a free tutorial class. Now, if you would like to us to rent a Lambo and a helicopter and sit out somewhere, and for $9.99, we're happy to sell you that package to make you the next best greatest. We're willing to do that. But from a potential buyer standpoint, look at it as, if, again, like Adam said, if this is done right and the timing is lined up perfectly, we can almost flip the switch that at the last minute we can pull the cord on the bridge loan and you can do the sale of your home and the purchase of the next home. It's a little complicated to try to explain on here without going really in depth. Some of the stuff we know is not rocket science. I don't want to make it sound like it is, but we have done this a lot over the last several years, that we have been able to, I think, perfect the process, if you will,
Mhm.
in helping people do that. Where we have started down the path of the bridge loan, we got the whole way right before the finish line. We had their house on the market, we got it under contract, and at the last second, we were able to pull the cord on the bridge loan and cancel the bridge loan. We closed on their sale first, and we just flipped it at the finish line. But everything went off without a hitch. There were no hiccups. If that's not done right, and you kill the bridge loan too soon, what will happen is you will now have a settlement that cannot occur if there's a hang up in the sale of their home. So this is a very delicate situation, and timing is key, because I have had to help agents um, in situations where the bridge loan scenario, they pulled the cord on it too soon, and now they're trying to scramble to revive the bridge loan to hit the closing date, which there was not enough time to do. So just uh just be careful, I would say, when you're doing it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to take from our conversations that we have here and that we have, privately, is the real estate market has changed, and it's changed so dramatically over the last 4 years that thinking about jumping into the market to purchase a home and buy a home the same way you did it 10 years ago, 20
Right.
years ago, is now such a foreign idea. you know Prime example, the folks I was with this morning, they're like, so are we able to go back and like negotiate, when we're buying a new home? And I'm like, not really. It's, the times of going in and really digging in and negotiating and going, hey, here's our opening bid, and you bat it back and forth like it's a tennis match a few times, which Rob and I can tell you is probably one of the aspects of our business we miss the most. We
Right.
both love getting in and doing the dance, and negotiating and getting in the old school way. We both love the game. But because of how much things have changed, you don't have much of that anymore. In fact, if you have anything, you have the opposite of negotiating, and that is you're sort of negotiating up, because you're no longer your conversation is no longer really with the seller. You're negotiating against the other buyers. And it's a completely different type of negotiating now that's done. And meanwhile, the sellers is sort of sitting back and counting the cash.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the thing you have to keep in mind when you are jumping into the real estate market and you do have a house to sell is don't look at this the same way you might have looked at it 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or longer. If you're last time you bought a house and Reagan was president, I can tell you the market has changed to the furthest extreme. It's nothing
Yeah.
like the last time you bought.
Yep.
So, Rob, any other tips, advice you would give to someone who's looking at going down the swing loan path that has a house to sell and is ready to upsize or downsize?
No, I mean, I think at this point, if anybody is considering that, the best thing they could do is reach out to us and let us have that one-on-one conversation with them, because everyone's situation is going to be different. We'll make sure that you have enough information where you can decide whether or not it's the right move for you or not the right move for you. We have had that situation recently where, to it was all said and done, the couple decided, you know what, we got to stay put.
Mm-hmm.
That may not have been exactly the way their plan was, but we didn't try to rush the process and try to push them through it to get the sale. We gave them all the information. We gave them time to, cross their T's, dot their I's. And through that process, they decided, you know what, this isn't going to be for us. We're going to stay put right here where we are. And ultimately, that's our goal. Our goal is to give you enough information that you can make the best decision for your family. And sometimes staying where you are might be the best decision.
Right. Yeah. You have said for years you can't make a home. How do you put something along the lines of like you can't make a home pay for things the home can't pay for?
Yeah, I think you said it. So sometimes we'll meet with people and they'll be like, well, I got to pay off the car. I want to pay off 3 credit cards. I want to pay off my student loan debt and have my down payment for my next house. And I'll tell people, unfortunately for you, your house didn't take out those other loans. You did.
Right.
And it's not always fair to expect your house to have to do the heavy lifting to pay off that additional debt. That's a tough conversation to have sometimes, but sometimes you have to have it, because this ultimately, for me, and this just from side conversation, for me, this is always a math problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an emotional process for me, but I understand buying a home is an emotional process. For me, it's always a math problem. Does the numbers work? Does the math make sense? And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So we just want to make sure that you have all the information that you need as a home seller or home buyer so that you can cover both. You can have that emotional feeling of buying the house, but also you can know that the math works. So, yeah.
The Adam McAllister and Rob Myers team. Let us handle the math so you don't have to move to meth.
Yeah.
Tagline?
All right.
Tagline? All right.
Now,
We'll workshop it. We'll workshop it. We'll play with it.
We'll play with, we'll workshop it.
All right. So there you have it. So if you are thinking about selling your current home and need to buy the next home, you need to upsize, your family's growing, or you need to downsize. Families moved on and you need a smaller space, or it's time to get rid of stairs and look for something that's single level. And you're going, how do I do this? It's been a while since I've bought and sold a house, and my goodness, how do I handle this? Keep in mind, a swing loan could be a very viable option to use. And if you're thinking about doing that, reach out to us, because we've done a bunch of them and we can easily guide you through the process and set you up for success.
That's right. In this instance, and in this instance only, I will say, don't be afraid to swing.
That's exactly right.
All right, Adam. And so if they want to get a hold of us, what do they need to do to get a hold of us?
So if you're looking to swing, there's this place in Spring Grove. Oh,
I
that was the
I did it
okay.
again. It's
You,
all my fault. I
it is.
understand what I did. I realize the error of my ways. All right. So again, tell them how they can get in contact with us if they would like to have a conversation about a bridge loan
About a
for
bridge
their
loan.
home. Yeah,
That's
yeah. I had to
exactly right.
build a bridge. I had to build a bridge because I couldn't let you back on the swing. Now go.
All right. So if you want to have a conversation, give us a call at 717-885-2027. Actually, I knew Rob's going to do a great job. You can just take a look at the links that Rob's waving off now that will not be at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that
may or may not put the links on it, but it might be in the description of the video.
very true. So
And
717-88.
it's on our YouTube channel and our podcast. So all that
Very good.
info's there.
So go to the
So I
bio.
don't have to
Yeah. So go to the
put it
bio
on the
page.
screen.
Very true. Go to the bio here on our YouTube page. Our number is 717-885-2027. You can also send us a message through our website, which is mmtwithexp.com. And of course, you can just hit us up on all our great social media pages, Facebook, Instagram. I don't know if we have X or not. I'm not sure if Elon has
No,
allowed us back
no,
on the page. No.
no, we
Uh,
didn't. We're not on X, but you can watch this full video on our YouTube channel, and you can click the subscribe button,
which
and
you
that
should
way you know
do.
when all the fresh new videos come out.
That's exactly right. Hit subscribe and hit the bell so you can be alerted for all of our episodes that we upload weekly. Rob, before we get out of here, what is your seller tip of the week? Home seller tip of the week.
Put me on the spot. My
That's
home
right.
seller tip of the week
Yes.
is to depersonalize your house. No, I got a better one.
Ooh.
Shift from thinking like a homeowner to an investor.
Do explain,
Make
sir.
that personal disconnect from your house and try to not look at it from a memories perspective. Look at it from an investor perspective. Look at it from a walls, floor, appliances, cabinets perspective, not from Timmy ran into the wall over here when he was 3 and fell off the sofa over there. There's so many memories here. They're all important. I'm not saying they're not. But the best thing you can do as a seller is make that mental shift from homeowner to home investor. So that way you make sure you're doing the things you need to do to get your house ready for the market. And also check with us before you finish out the honey-do list, because there may be some things on the list that honey don't need to do.
Valuable information. We may attack that topic
That
next week.
was worth every penny right there.
It
Yeah.
was. It totally was. If you don't hit the subscribe and the bell icon now, can't help you. Can't guarantee what's going to happen to you this coming week in between.
That's right.
Yeah, very true. All right. Good job, sir.
You too. All right. Another one in the can, and we'll see you guys again next week.
That's right. Thank you. We'll see you guys next week.